The year is 2026, the month of love, February. The date is on the 17th. Apparently, the meteorological department had announced that kindly do expect heavy rainfall within the city of Nairobi and its environs. In this beautiful evening, everything was going on as normal until the unexpected happened. People who are not supposed to be meeting under different circumstances met. A new relationship was born. An old one was washed away. In fact, someone even was elevated to a higher position. The same way the people usually say, let nature take its course. Welcome to the Surviving Men series. My name is Kunguru87. As it was earlier said, it's the year 2026, February. The month of love, the date is 17th. And stick to it because that day plays a lot of importance into this role. Aisha, a very young, ambitious CEO, a single mother, is driving home. She already picked a kid because the kid just works closer to where Aisha is. A very young, ambitious lady. She worked so hard to attain this position, but she lacked one thing. One thing that a lot of the millennials, as they are usually lack: family empathy. Most of us find ourselves, we are too, how do I put it? We are too eaten, or we are too surrounded with our jobs and our businesses that we totally forget about building relationships. Most of the time we find ourselves that you ask someone, and how is your family doing? And all they can tell you is they're okay. Simply, they're trying to tell you that it's long since they had a sit down with their family. So Aisha, as young as she was, apparently, the story of how she made it through life is another story for another day. She was in the busy highway, the bypass road. For those who come from Nairobi, they know the eastern bypass, the one that heads to Ruai. It was around 5:30 p.m. until the rain started pouring. As the old saying goes, when it rains, it pours. Aisha, a new driver on the road with a young daughter, give or take 10 years old, grade 3, both of them in a road that they never encountered. At any single day, it could have flooded the way it was. Now, on the other side of the story, in where Aisha works as a CEO of a tech company, we have a very young, ambitious person, an ambitious man. His name is Paul. He's walking back home. Apparently, Paul works as a security guard where Aisha works or operates as a CEO. Paul knows Aisha, but Aisha hardly can even call him by the name because it's just a normal guy. So the question is, how many of us can even call the security guards where you're living, or the offices where you're operating, or the business premises where you're operating? How many of us know the security personnel, the security people by name? How many even greet them? How many of you have even given them a token of appreciation? This will play a very big, important role in this story. Just to remind you again, if you've never subscribed to this particular channel, we welcome you to subscribe. Today, it's free of charge. Subscribe to the channel, like and share, and kindly turn on that notification button so that this and many more stories will find their way to you. So, Paul is walking also home, headed the same direction in the dungeons of Ruai bypass. And it's really, really raining. Paul has an option of one, going beside a building, waiting for the rain to weather down, or continue to walk home. Remember, Paul's daughter is also waiting at home. She's all alone because unfortunately, the mother to Paul's daughter is back in the village. She had gone to visit the parents. So Paul was left with the daughter. So whatever happens next will shock you. That day it really poured. The roads were flooded. The roads were impassable. Because it was a new time, or the first time Aisha to witness this, she was just driving through that particular road. Unfortunately, her car was swept away into the ditch. Who were the first respondents? Paul. Paul could recognize the car from far, leave alone even the number plate, just the color of the car. Because Paul is a young man, a very ambitious man, and a very caring man, he decided to jump into the waters, go and try and save the people who were inside. To some extent, Paul was saying he had assumed or thought maybe it's that lady she usually sees walking inside that particular building that Paul operates as a security guard. On the other hand, he was just helping, not because he knew this particular individual, but just as what we do say here in Kenya, Harambe, where we come together, we join forces, we join our strength, and we help those people who are stuck into such circumstances. Aisha was stranded inside the car. Sooner or later, the car started filling up with water. The daughter was screaming to the top of her voice. Aisha was traumatized. It has never happened. It had never happened. She has never witnessed this, only on movies. Do you know what happened? Paul managed to open the door and she was calling Aisha. Bring your hand. Bring your hand. First, bring the daughter. Bring the young lady who's inside there. That was the daughter. Bring her. Let's save her. Then we'll save you also. Do not think about the car at this particular moment. With this kind of floods, this car will be swept away and it will be swept away to the river. Now, let's hold on a bit. Paul wasn't obligated to save this particular individual. Paul wasn't obligated to even take time and try and salvage this particular issue. As normal passers-by, as the millennials you are in nowadays, when we see a car being swept away, and I stand corrected, many of us remove our phones and start recording. The other day I was seeing someone recording a certain lady being mugged. And then they say, we're going to post this one. And I was asking myself, as a nation, as human beings, where did we go wrong? Apparently, while Paul was saving this particular individual, this particular stranger, and I quote, someone was recording him. Those people usually sat into some little shops and they're recording, oh, look at that car, it's been swept by water. Paul called for help because he could not manage on his own. So the first responders were still the people who were just walking. The other people who were in their big cars, their 4x4s, were standing aside, just trying to hoot. Until one of the drivers from the other car, we could see him jump out of the car and run towards saving the lady because the car was literally stuck on one side into that deep hitch. That deep water passage. At this particular time, it was really, really raining. Remember, it's around 6 p.m. now. It was really pouring like nobody's business. And remember, that ditch leads to a nearby river. Paul decided that they start by removing the daughter and then they brought out the Aisha. Well, Aisha was being pulled away. She could not but help notice Paul. And she was like, I think I've seen you from somewhere. And Paul responded, yes. I am a security guard at a company. And I believe you are either the manager there, you're the CEO, or you're an employee to that particular company, because I usually see you walk in and walk out, driving a car in and out. So fast forward, Aisha was managed to be saved. She managed to be saved, her with her daughter. And Paul went and they stood somewhere until the rain subsided. While they were having a little chit chat, this is the shocking part. Aisha couldn't help but notice and ask Paul, so you come all the way? And Paul responded, yes, I do walk all the way. Remember, from where they're working, it's close to 10 to 15 kilometers, give or take. And then Aisha asked Paul, and where are you headed to? Paul said, I'm still yet to cover around 5 kilometers. And I was hurrying home. If it could not be the rain at this particular time, I'm usually at home. Aisha was so surprised because apparently she was headed to the same direction but to a far much more distance. So Paul told her, I don't live far. We can walk because these rains are not going to subside at this particular time. Your car you'll have to solve, or you'll have to take care of it some other time. At this particular time, there's nothing more you can do. While they were walking towards the side where Paul was living, Paul got to his home and welcomed Aisha inside the house. Found the daughter who was there. The daughter was doing homework. Apparently, fast forward, Aisha's daughter with Paul's daughter managed to mingle, and apparently also Paul gave Aisha's daughter some of her daughter's clothes, because all the school clothes that Aisha's daughter had were filled with water, or they were just waterlogged. While they were exchanging communication and whatnot, Paul decided to make a cup of coffee, and they were just chatting with Aisha. What is the moral of the story? What I'm trying to tell you, people of the internet, is how many of us greet the security guards that we meet besides or where we walk to? How many of us? How many of us show kindness to strangers? Have you ever find yourself where something wrong or bad is happening and you're taking your phone and you're just recording, as the video that has been going around social media, where people are just recording and some people are just getting themselves into accidents or being mugged? Paul was not obligated to help this particular stranger. Before, he hardly knew, as much as he was like guessing, that might be the car, that might not be the car, because it was heavily raining. Apparently, there was a relationship that was formed. Aisha went ahead, got to his bosses, and promoted Paul from just a normal security person to a high-ranking security personnel in that particular firm. In fact, Paul was absorbed to the company and was the head of operations / security in that particular company that Paul was working at, Aisha was working at. Aisha felt like she's obligated to help Paul because Paul showed some kindness. Remember, no single day had Aisha even waved her hand towards Paul, while Paul was still a normal security guard. The way you usually pass these people without even all you like doing is just honking your car or hooting. Even the security guard who lives where you guys are living right now, people of the internet, do you even know them by their names? I know some of them like entitlement and practicing their power. Some of them usually say, do you know, I can start practicing my powers. They're so frustrating. But it's the little things that you do that help us out. Have you ever tried to get up to them and know their names? These rainy seasons, have you ever inquired how far do they live? You might be shocked. Most of them, they walk to the same direction you drive to. They pass you on traffic jam. They divert to their homes. You're still stuck on traffic. They reach their homes safely and sound where they're still stuck on traffic. Until the day that your car will break down is when you know, oh, so you usually pass through this road, I can be giving you a lift. People of the internet, ladies and gentlemen, Aisha learned something the hard way. Same as Paul learned something the hard way. If it were not for the rain, I doubt if Aisha will ever recognize Paul. And if you are not for Paul, for the rains, I doubt if Paul could have been elevated so quick or so fast to the ranks that he is currently attending to. This is my story. Welcome to the Survivement series. Don't forget to turn on that notification button so that any videos that we post here at the Survivement series, you'll be able to watch them and view them. Put your comments down there. We are glad for you being part of us. A peace.